All right, guys. Sorry about the video errors, but this is kind of the last part of the notes here for topic 6.7. So I just recently talked about biomass, solid biomass. I just want to briefly today talk a little bit about liquid biomass as well. Liquid biomass basically is also known as biofuels. And there's two major types. One's called ethanol, one's called biodiesel. These are basically substitutes for traditional gasoline that we can use in our cars. Now, we're not sticking like ears of corn in our car, but we can actually make a fuel from corn that's called ethanol. If you've ever heard of E85, when you go to the gas pump next time, for example, at Family Express, or Speedway or something, like look at the actual fuel pump. And most of us are probably pumping just regular unleaded gasoline into our cars, but is an option called E85, which again is an ethanol-based fuel. And ethanol is made in the U.S. It's made from corn. Other places around the world can make it from sugar cane and some other plants, but corn is kind of the big one in the U.S. But if you have a flex fuel car or a flex fuel vehicle, those vehicles can run on E85, which is 85% ethanol and only 15% regular gasoline. So you're burning mainly a plant-based fuel, a corn-based fuel, compared to burning a fossil fuel. Do not put E85 in your car if it's not a flex fuel vehicle. Okay, please don't do that. Your parents will be pretty upset. But anyway, if you do have a flex fuel vehicle, you can run on actually both the E85 or the regular. And E85 is a lot cheaper, so but it does get less gas mileage. So I guess there's kind of a trade-off there. There is an article I want you to read in your notes or in your homework tonight called "Should Corn Become a Fuel?" There's actually some pros and cons to using E85 as a fuel. Another one is biodiesel. Diesel is the stuff that semi trucks run off of. So there's a fuel called B20, which is 20% biodiesel, which is basically a soybean based fuel. So again, we're running this plant-based fuel in our cars instead of full fossil fuels such as gasoline. So there is some advantages there. Now, some of those are the fact that if we're using a plant-based fuel, those are potentially renewable instead of using 100% fossil fuels or a product from fossil fuels such as gasoline. As long as we keep replanting corn, it is potentially renewable. Biofuels are much cleaner. There's less pollution, less pollutants given off, less carbon emissions. They can lead to less dependency on fossil fuels, which is always a good thing. And it's always more carbon neutral, again, to be burning plants than it is to be burning a fossil fuel. So that would be better for the environment. Disadvantages, if we're going to use crops, to produce fuel, which we could do, there's a tremendous amount of energy that goes into that. There's a tremendous amount of land that gets used. All those agricultural problems will be, probably doubled if we start using, corn, for example, as a fuel source instead of just a food source. That would cause costs to go up, obviously. Again, I mentioned this: biofuels get less gas mileage than traditional gasoline, and again, it involves using a lot of energy, to grow those crops, harvest those crops. So that would lower the EROEI. So this is probably the biggest drawback to using a fossil fuel, or I should say a biofuel, is that it's just not very energy efficient, the whole process, compared to, let's say, regular gasoline. So until we can get that EROEI to be much higher, I don't know if this is ever going to be a huge um, use in the United States compared to regular gasoline. There are a couple of alternatives. Instead of using corn or soybeans, we can use something called switchgrass. Switchgrass, what you see in the picture here, it's a tall grass. It's a perennial crop. It grows fast. You can cut it down. It'll grow back again. Cut it down. It'll grow back again. So you don't have to replant it all the time. So a lot less environmental damage because of that. It just takes a lot less land area to grow it. So, by using switchgrass instead of, let's say, corn or sugarcane, you'd be doing a lot better things for the environment. Algae, there's a video tonight uh, on Buzz about using algae as a fuel source. And when you watch that video, it's kind of interesting. You'll probably understand some of the positives that are involved with using algae to produce fuel. Again, compared to some other land-based crops to use it. So just some alternatives there. All right, guys, that's it for the notes today. This is again the second video, so make sure you watch both. All right, guys, have a good day.